Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 1st of July 2023. Now, I know I probably raise a few eyebrows when I talk about the powers that shouldn't be, the government, politicians, NGOs, corporations, CEOs of corporations, etc. and how they're not exactly my favourite people in the world. And most regular viewers will understand where I'm coming from on that, but other people, perhaps newer viewers or sort of people who just stumble across this channel, might wonder why. Well, let me just give you a bit of an insight into our politicians and other kind of people in power and influence, and what kind of people they follow, what kind of people they seem to love and think are really great. And at the top of it all is this guy called Klaus Schwab, who is the leader of the World Economic Forum. And pretty much all of our politicians and other influential people, you know, heads of corporations and media, etc., they just all seem to love this guy and his World Economic Forum. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm going to just read out a little excerpt from Klaus Schwab's book that he wrote a few years ago. Now, I can't 100% verify that this is from his book. I'm not in the habit of reading books written by evil people. That's why I haven't read Mein Kampf either. But I do get it on good authority from a guy called Rainer Fuellmich, the famous German lawyer. This was posted on his site, so it's from a pretty credible source that this is something that Klaus Schwab wrote, and it will give you a bit of an idea of what a lovely guy he is. So let's start with it. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organised epidemics of fatal rapid-acting diseases and starvation. Energy, food and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with white populations of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on the other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. And then this last bit is presumably when they've reached that 1 billion figure. From time to time, there will be artificially contrived food and water shortages and medical care to remind the masses that their very existence depends on the goodwill of the Committee of 300. So, yeah, allegedly written by Klaus Schwab, who is the leader of the Davos crowd, as they're called, the sort of WEF. And this is the organisation, and this is the guy who the likes of Charlie Boy, Sunak, Keir Starmer, and I'd say the majority of politicians in Westminster, or Wefminster as it's been called in certain memes that I've seen, very appropriate. They're all in love with this bloke and his organisation. In fact, Keir Starmer is on record as saying, just fairly recently, I think it was back in January when the Davos meeting was happening, and he was asked by a mainstream journalist on, I think it was live TV, well, you know, who would you choose? Who would you put your allegiance to first, Westminster or Davos? And there Starmer was saying Davos almost without hesitation. And this is the guy who may well be the next Prime Minister. Well, as far as I'm concerned, him showing any kind of favouritism towards that organisation and that man, bearing in mind what I've just read out, renders him to be completely and totally unfit for office. And all of the other parties aren't a lot different. As I say, Sunak, he sort of seems to love the same lot, the Davos crowd, and so many of our other politicians, media people, and heads of corporations, and pretty much every and any kind of influential and powerful person you can think of are tied in one way or another to the WEF. So what I'd like to do in these videos really is just wake a few more people up to what we're looking at here, what we're really dealing with here. Far from being the benign, fantastic organisation who just wants to help humanity that many people think the Whiskey Echo Foxtrot really is. I think I've just read out what their true colours really are, and you know, when you look at it in that light, you just think, really, is any of these politicians and other influential people fit for office and the positions they're in? I'd say not. I would say they should be not in power and replaced by people who refuse to have anything to do with any kind of organisation like the WEF, or all of these other similar organisations like the Trilateral Commission, and well, there's loads of them, the Bilderberg Group, lots and lots of them, and I believe they've all got this same kind of end goal in mind. And we know, you don't have to look too far from your own experience, that is kind of what these people are like. If you just look on a more minor scale, we all know that these people in charge of big companies, they're more than happy to make a couple of thousand people redundant, even people who have given kind of 40 years of sterling service and coming up for retirement in a few years. They're more than happy to throw them on the scrap heap if they think it's going to be a good thing for their bottom line. They'll just make the decision like that and off you go, kind of thing. So these are the same kind of people who are sort of thinking, well, you know, there's too many people on the planet and perhaps we should come up with plans to get rid of a few of them. And obviously the likes of Schwab have done exactly that. So yeah, I just want, you know, if this kind of thing isn't, you're not aware of this kind of thing, should I say, yet, I just want to wake up people as to the true agenda of these people, you know, these sort of organisations and heads of these organisations. And like I say, if together we can wake up the vast majority of the population to this agenda, I think more and more people are starting to come around. I think the likes of the WEF people are now starting to see, a lot more people are starting to see that they're a bunch of wrong-uns, and the politicians who follow them are wrong-uns as well. More and more people are becoming aware of that, but if this video can make a few more people aware of that as well, on top of that, it's only going to be a good thing. And then hopefully this video will be shared, or you'll sort of talk about Schwab and the WEF and the politicians, and word will spread until hopefully the vast majority of the population are kind of like, well, you know, why, asking questions of politicians, etc. Why are you sort of following this sort of Davos lot when it's on record that, yeah, they're not great people, basically. We want you to stop sort of paying any attention to them, giving them any of your time. And if you're not prepared to do that, we want you out of office, and we want people with honour and integrity in office to be our MPs and our ministers and our Prime Minister and politicians in general. And if you can't do that, I'm sorry, but you've got to go. Anyone, I think any politician who's got any kind of allegiance to the Whiskey Echo Foxtrot, frankly, should be resigning. And I think we need to be making calls like this and making it aware, making it perfectly clear to our politicians that any allegiance that they may have to the WEF just isn't acceptable, I'm afraid. So yeah, gonna leave it there, and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.